Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the waters to Copenhagen in Denmark once again, a very good beer city these days, and as you guessed we're going to return to Amager Bryghus. So for this one we're having a look at another beer that they released in their Mobster series for their 10th anniversary. This one is Cody the Crooked Cock, which is an English style old ale. It comes in at 9.5%. On Rate Beer this one got an 89 overall and a 79 within the style, and it should be quite interesting. The old ale is a style that you don't come across too often, and I've only maybe reviewed 2 or 3 of these and in the whole time that I've done the channel. The only other one I can think of is the North Coast Old Stock Ale, if I remember rightly, and that was a really quite interesting beer. I did do another one around the same time as that, but I can't think exactly what one it was, but it's an interesting style. It's from England. You used to have the English miles, which were the more roasty, toasted ones, and the old ales are the sort of sweeter and fruitier equivalent, and usually bars in England apparently would have an old ale to complement the mild ale. So it's a style you don't come across too often, so it is cool to see Amager having a go at this one. Of course, this brewery are far better known for their IPAs and stuff like that, although that said, I've really enjoyed some of the Imperial Stouts that I've had from these guys. But yeah, this is a brewery who I'm sure you will really enjoy. If you've seen my reviews before, you'll know this is a brewery who I really rate quite highly. They're probably one of the best in Scandinavia, I think, and they do some really awesome beers. So if you get the chance to try some of these Amager Bryghus beers, I highly recommend that you do. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Amager Bryghus before. No doubt I will add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beers based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. Denmark, of course, is an awesome beer country these days, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching in Denmark, because I know there's a lot of breweries that I probably just haven't heard of yet. But it's great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Amager Bryghus then. So as I've told you many a time, Amager Bryghus are based in Kastrup in Copenhagen in Denmark, the southern part of the city, of course, very close to the airport, and these guys are probably one of the best known Danish craft breweries. I think they're the biggest craft brewer in Denmark, out with the likes of Toil and Mikkeller, although of course they don't produce their beers in Denmark, they tend to be produced in Belgium. So these guys, as far as I know, are the biggest craft beer producer that actually brew their beers in the country. So the brewery was established back in 2007 by 2 young friends, Morten Valentin Lundsbach and Jakob Storm, both of whom were really quite avid homebrewers. But apparently the whole beer thing for them started off when in high school they were forced to do a chemistry and physics project together. So they wrote about the fermentation process that went on in beers, and that had them hooked from a very young age. So both gained their diplomas from the Scandinavian Brewing School back in 2008, and since founding Amager Bryghus, these guys have gone on to become very highly decorated. Like I said, I'm pretty sure, in my opinion at least, these guys are one of the best breweries you're going to find in Scandinavia. But the first brewery was located in Tornby, it's in a kind of sort of underground warehouse kind of thing. They do have quite a bit of space there, but they've actually found a new site which is closer to the airport, and they were constantly expanding their original site for a number of years, but it just wasn't big enough anymore, so they're moving to a new site that's closer to the airport, and that's currently under construction just now. I think it's earmarked to either open at the end of this year, 2017, or in early 2018. I'm not quite sure about that, but that'll be quite cool, because that means a lot of you guys watching in different parts of the world will likely be able to find some of these Amager Bryghus beers, because I know they're fairly well distributed around the European continent, but in the UK they're a bit harder to get, and I think in America and Australia and things they are a bit more difficult to get to. But you guys can look forward to these at some point in the fairly near future, I'm sure. And like I say, this brewery are quite well known for their IPAs. Probably my favourite beers I've had from these guys are the Batch 1000. The Building Bridges was really good as well. Herr Fredriksson, the Imperial Stout on the other side of things, was really nice, and also the amazing Gotland Campfire beer. That was a lovely smoked beer, but they do a lot of good things. If you come across some of their beers, I do recommend that you try them. But anyway, that's enough about the brewery just now. Let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer. So as I told you, this one is a 9.5% old ale. In this one they're using Golden Promise biscuit, carrot aroma, Crystal 400 and black malts, and they've also got some flaked oats in there as well, and demerara sugar. and the hops in this one it's just simply Columbus, and they've used 2 different UK ale yeasts and some Brettanomyces as well. So yeah, interesting beer this one. It says, Cody Kane has not always been a crooked, dirty cop. Far from it. When he started in law enforcement more than 20 years ago, he came with bright ideas and beautiful ideals. The reality of Chicago's criminal underworld curbed his enthusiasm, and each year his ideals crumbled a little bit. Then came the drinking, and with that came the gambling. Horses it was. Within only a few years, he was knee-deep in debt, and his paycheck from the CPD, it did little to help. So like most of his colleagues, he started doing small favours for the people that were tearing the city to pieces. He hated himself for it. He wanted out of the hush money, the gambling and the drinking. Well, at least the hard liquor he wanted out of. As an Irishman, he had absolutely no intention of giving up his beer. He loved the fluid. A devout Catholic as he was certain it was God's hand that lent him to the company of Dario Dodano, the city's most notorious mobster. Now imprisoned with Cody as his personal guard, the two started talking for days. To Cody's bafflement, this Italian gangster revealed that he couldn't stand wine and actually brewed his own beer at home. And Cody told Dario of a beer he remembered his dad drinking back home, a beer in barrels, strong and potent with a leathery yet refreshing smell. 3 years later, Cody, now employed as the head brewer in Dario Dodano and Dadolnikov, I keep pronouncing that wrong, Dadolnikov Brewing Company, recreated this old ale. No more dirty money and even dirtier morals, only the joy of creating. The two could not have been happier. So yeah, quite an interesting one. You've got the usual Amager Bryghus artwork on this one. I really love the artwork that these guys put on it, and you can see the special Amager Bryghus badge on this one for the 10th anniversary. It's got the standard bottle cap on it, of course, and there is the blurb that I just read out to you there and the beat details of the beer. This one is batch number 1566, and it is best before April 2020. So yeah, it should be really nice. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on to the tasting then. So this should be really good. Yeah, nice smoky opening on this one, and you can smell some of that lovely kind of caramel character coming out of this beer. That looks lovely. Just look at that. That's a dark sort of chestnut colour on this one, a dark chestnut kind of mahogany rosewood sort of thing. That looks lovely. So yeah, as you can see, this beer is poured really dark. If I hold it up to the light, it's actually got quite a bit of a ruby edge to it. I don't think you can see that too well on the camera though, but there's a solid finger of a frothy kind of beigey tan head on this one, quite a light tan colour, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it looks really nice, and I think it is fair to describe that beer, this beer, as being a sort of dark chestnut rosewood, almost ebony colour as well. It's sort of, it is almost like a Coca-Cola colour actually, to be fair, but with a bit of a ruby edge to it. But it looks very, very nice. I think this is the standard colour that you should expect of an old ale. As I say, I've not reviewed too many of them. Old stock ale, I think, from North Coast, and I did review another one from an American brewery around the same time, but that was maybe a year or so ago now. But yeah, really interesting looking beer, this one. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I mean, as you would expect, there's a lot, with all the malts and stuff they've put in this one, you can smell a little bit of a toasted black malt to this one, but there's a lot of brown sugar to this one. It smells very, very sweet actually. A lot of kind of toasted, kind of treacle, molasses and sort of things come out. There's a little bit of lighter, sweeter caramel, and maybe some kind of biscuity notes as well. And it's maybe a little bit woody, actually. One thing I should also point out is there's a few different types of old ale from what I read. It seems to be 3 or 4 different types of these ones, but usually they're very dark, robust, kind of sweet and fruity beers actually. But yeah, that's the main point to take about these. But you can smell some earthy hop in there as well, some woody, nutty notes like I was saying. The fruity notes in this one for me, it's mainly kind of figgy, and you can smell the booze. There's a bit of leathery booze coming out of this beer as well. But the woody, nutty character that you're getting out of this is really interesting. There's a lot of complexity to this beer, but mainly the notes. It's got a nice almost brown bready character in there as well, some woody, nutty notes, but a lot of toasted brown sugars. You can smell a little bit of that roasted black malt underneath, but mainly it's bready. It's bready, it's woody, it's nutty, and it's got a lot of kind of toasted brown sugar, some of those red fruits on the end as well. I think it's maybe a sort of figgy and raisin type note that's coming off of this one. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and mull over the aroma of the beer before you actually get stuck into it. It's always half the experience with things like craft beer, whiskey, sake, all of these things. just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma that you get out of it. But this one is a lovely beer. It's not the most pungent aroma that I've had off one of these, off a dark beer, right enough. And it's certainly not the most pungent aroma I've had from Amager Bryghus, right enough too. But it smells lovely. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy that aroma for yourself. But let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is Cody the Crooked Cop, part of the Mobster series that Amager Bryghus released for their 10th anniversary, a 9.5% old ale. Ska. That's really nice. Certainly like that beer. There's no doubt in my mind about that. It's really unusual as well. I was expecting it to have a little bit of a kind of sour quality, considering they put some Brettanomyces in it. And you can get a tiny, tiny little bit of it. And it's not a style I would have thought that you would have put Brettanomyces into either. But it's a really just very interesting beer, this one. It's got a nice bit of that dark roasted malt just underpinning it, but then there's a lot of complexity above that. I do like how this one comes across. It's a big, oily, just big malt forward beer, this one, which is kind of what you'd expect. As I always say with these dark beers, take a little bit of time and just sugar the whole thing around your palate and let your mouth adjust to it so that you can just take in the whole aspect of the flavour of this beer. There's a lot going on in this one. But yeah, like I was saying, there's a nice sort of roasted black malty character. That's actually quite prominent in this one, and it comes out more and more as you progress further into the aftertaste. You can really feel that sort of toasted black malty character just underpinning this one. There's some smooth bready characters in there as well. You can feel this sort of light kind of brown bread. It's almost the same kind of consistency as pale malt. You can feel that sort of brown bready character in there. But then there's a lot of nice woody and kind of nutty elements to this beer too. Yeah, the way that the woody and nutty character comes out in this one, right now, you saw how long it was since I took a sip, but that woody and kind of nutty complexity that's coming out of this one is really, really interesting. I do like how the whole thing with this beer is, it's not a beer that's kind of punchy in any one regard, it's all about the complexity of the style, and that's what I really like. This was what I was saying, Amager Bryghus really are better known for their IPAs and stuff like that, but when it comes to doing darker beers with the complexity, they do that very well as well. Like Herr Fredriksson probably is my favourite example of that. But that's a lovely beer. If you get the chance to try this one, I highly recommend that you do. It does remind me a little bit of the Dario. It's got that same kind of roasted bitter quality that Dario had actually. The Mariana, the Moody Milf, that one was a little bit more sweeter and kind of boozy, that sort of English style barley wine. But this one for me it's really interesting. Probably the kind of particular quirkiness of it is that it's a beer style you don't come across too much, but I love the complexity that's going on in the malt base of this one. It's that roasted bitterness that's just kind of sitting there on the tongue for me that gives it a little bit of an interesting backbone. Just trying to remember all the malts that they put in this one. So yeah, Golden Promise Biscuit, Carrot Aroma, Crystal Fat 400 Black, and then some flaked oats. I'm not really getting so much of the flaked oats, but the Demerara sugar, I think, yeah, I can definitely pick up that on the taste. It's really nice. And you can feel this beer gradually getting sweeter and sweeter as it just warms up very slightly. I think I was serving this one around 8 or 9 degrees, which is what you should do, roughly around what you should do with an old ale. But yeah, you can feel it just getting sweeter and sweeter, but then as you move further into the aftertaste, like I said, that roasted black malt backbone just comes out a little bit more. But yeah, on the back corners of the palate, there's a good bit of earthy hop in there. And you can feel some of that sort of dark floral, that dark floral character that you'd expect from the Columbus is really coming out quite nicely in this one. It's a little bit earthy in the back corners of the palate, and as you come further forward, it just becomes a little bit more floral and bitter too. Around the front corners of your palate, there's a lot of that floral bitterness there, and then just as you go round the front curve of your palate, you can feel just a lighter kind of grassy note, and you can feel a little bit of that kind of Brettanomyces kind of citric-y character there too. You can just feel that little kind of very slight tart character. The tartness that you'd expect from the Brettanomyces in this one isn't too apparent at this point, but the guys at Amager did tell me that with this one, if you age it a little bit, and of course this is 2017 now, so you can age this beer roughly for about 3 years by their estimate, you will start to get more and more of these bready notes coming out. But that's really nice. The fruity aspects of this one as well are interesting too. So if you just go behind the front curve of your palate there, that's where you'll get the little oily bubble where these nice red fruity esters are coming out. For me, it's got a little bit of a kind of candied fruit backbone to it, but then it's got the slightly sharper things on top of it. Yeah, some figgy kind of, there's a bit of sharper raisin and kind of plummy note to this beer as well, which is really, really nice. The way that the whole thing goes together really is lovely. Like that sort of floral bitterness that's coming out from the Columbus hop in this one, that really suits this beer, and it gives it an interesting kind of bridge between the roasted black malts and the sort of floral character from the beer. I love the way the red fruits in this one come out. I mean, the main point to take away from this beer is that it's a really good and very, very quirky beer. It's certainly different from anything I've had from Amager Bryghus before, so if you get the chance to try this one, I would recommend that you have a look at it. In terms of the old ale style, I don't think it's quite as sweet as some of the other ones that I've come across. I remember the old stock ale being really quite a bit sweeter than this one, but the old stock ale was, I think, around 11 or 12%, if I remember correctly, so you will get a little bit more of the kind of caramel malt base with that. But the main point is that this is a really good beer, and if you're a fan of Amager Bryghus, it is a little bit of a change of pace from these guys, and it is always cool to see a brewery that you're quite familiar with experimenting and doing different things. And what surprised me with this one, like I said, was the Brettanomyces. Just the way that comes out is really interesting. There's just a very little bit of it around the front curve of your tongue, and it, as I said, this isn't a style I would have expected to find Brettanomyces in. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one's definitely a full-bodied beer. It's a big, oily beast of a thing. Yeah, big, oily beast of a beer. There's a little bit of prickle from the carbonation, but overall, not all that much. You know, there's a good sweetness to the malt base in this, but mainly it has that kind of roasty, bitter undertone to it. Like, it gets a bit sweeter as it warms up and as the flavour progresses, but the slightly dry character from the roasted black malts comes out later on. The hops have got a little bit of bitterness to them. You can pick up a little bit of that. It's just very slight, sharp, tart character around the front parts of your tongue. And then there's a good little bit of juicy fruit in there as well, but overall it's a really nice beer, and I can see why it got the rating it did on Rate Beer. You know, an 89 out of 100. I think is pretty fair for this one. So in terms of the old ale, if you want them to be a little bit more roasted and kind of quirky, I think this one will hit the spot for you. It's a style that I really need to become a little bit more familiar with, but for me, as a kind of standalone beer without knowing all that much about the style, it's a really nice one, and I wouldn't have expected anything else from Amager Bryghus. So I've enjoyed this one, and it's cool to see a brewery that I know quite well experimenting a little bit with different beer styles and stuff. So yeah, make sure you check out the Mobster series from Amager Bryghus. They're doing some really interesting beers. From what I understand, there's another 4 to come out of this series at some point later in the year, so I'll need to review those for you at some point very soon. But in the meantime, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Amager Bryghus as well, and you will see me review more from these guys in the very near future. So this one was Cody the Crooked Cock, part of the Mobster series from Amager Bryghus' 10th anniversary beer range. So until the next time, it's Landry just now, and I will catch you very soon. Make sure you check out some of the Amager Bryghus beers from Copenhagen in Denmark. Cheers.